Ding dong. I tried whispering, but it never worked. There's a wee bit breeze pulling in. That was good. Thanks for this morning. And again, David, thanks for inspiring us and enlightening us about where we need to be looking at things. Thank you. We're moving on to the sederant and apologies. That's what it says for number 1 on my paper.
His apologies have been received and kept, and the sederant sheets are all at the door and should have been signed as you came in. If you haven't, they'll still be there, I think, Evan, on the way out. Please do make sure you record your attendance. Thank you.
And he usually says, don't pinch your pens. Do you approve the agenda as it is? Thank you so much. We then move to approval of minutes. First of all, on the 15th of February here in the Wellesley Centre. You've had them in your hands for some time. Without any comments, do you accept this minute? 15th of February. You need to let me know. Thank you. The second one is the 18th of February.
That one, moderator, says Thursday 18th. It should say Tuesday 18th. I'll make that change.
Tuesday the 18th. There we are. I'm surprised no eagle-eyed person spotted it for us. So with that change, Brian. That's the clerk has subsequently sent out. Yeah, it's in the corrections.
I do beg your pardon. In fact, I'd already corrected it twice, and then sent it out.
But
I do apologise. It is.
It's coming in the corrections here. Thank you. I need to remember that as well, don't I, Brian? Here we are then. So 18th of February accepted. We then move to the 20th of February, and the 20th of February was a joy for me. Elizabeth Cranfield was accepting new responsibilities and sharing out a broader parish, but we failed to take the book for her to sign on that day. And so we're going to ask Elizabeth to come and sign the formula now. Thank you, Elizabeth. We thought you should do it in the face of the body of the kirk as it were. Thank you.
You all know what the formula says? Is that Alan reciting it from memory? I believe in the fundamental doctrines of the Christian faith contained in the confessions of faith of this church. I acknowledge the Presbyterian government of this church to be agreeable to the word of God. I promise that I will submit thereto and concur therewith. I promise to observe the order of worship and the administration of all public ordinances as the same are or may be allowed in this church.
We did read them out, and Elizabeth did agree, so it's just a signature that we require today. Thanks, everyone. And so then we go on to the 10th of April, which took place within Inverkeithing Church. Is that minute acceptable to you? Oh, so it is. Well done, Mike. I'm missing a T. Arthur. There was, at one point in my ministry, I had a wee boy who used to call me Arthur, and I kind of thought the child maybe had it right, Mike. No, don't. Okay, shall we? Where's Eleni? Come on, stand up and let everybody have a wee look at you. Look, we had a great time, didn't we? Eleni's. And her husband and wee boy were there, and her wee boy decided to create, and Dad was dutifully taking him out, and I thought, we'll just wait till he comes back. It's good. How are things? Great. Wonderful. So, that's accepted. We now move on to the business committee report. Convener. Do you want this one?
I'm not going to sing. Moderator, the Business Committee report speaks of continuing to cultivate good relationships and a sense of belonging within the Presbytery. In the hope of holding to that theme on a hot day, I do not intend to take too long in taking presbyters through the areas with which we hope people will. An elder or a minister, it can be daunting. Signing the formula may not alleviate fears, but the hope is that it recognises the partnership that exists between all forms of service that exist within our presbytery, and the hope that everyone knows that they are invited to offer their voice where they feel appropriate. As part of the September Presbytery meeting, we hope to have a session on governance, in part to shed some of the fears of being here, but also as a reminder to us all of the role we play in the life of the church. My Thursday night emailer had pondered the staffing committee makeup and wondered if in those who form the committee it could include ordinary members of Presbytery. I like to think I am ordinary, but I think the hope of the business committee is that that will happen. While the business committee convener is identified, the two other roles are to be members of both the Board of Management and the Superintendent's Committee, and not necessarily the conveners of those committees, recognising that they may already have full remits. In doing this, the hope is to push involvement beyond the realms of the business committee and use the gifts of a wider group of people. Away from the email, while the pastoral care coordinator is included in the deliverance about the staffing committee, in the Presbytery papers that role is not articulated in the remit for the staffing committee. And I know that Alec has added that now with the amendment paper that you had. However, I want to propose that there is still a change to item 7, and it should now read, approves the staffing committee remit and membership found at Appendix 1, with the addition of the pastoral coordinator to those supported by the committee. And on a day when we've been thinking about ministerial well-being, we want to apologise that the Reverend Eileen Miller and her role appears to have vanished from our thoughts, because she was then missed from the proposed boards and committees, and she's not alone, because Miss Susan Stewart is also to be added to the Board of Mission. So item 8 should read, approves the nomination committee appointments to Presbytery committees in Appendix 2, with the addition of the Reverend Eileen Miller and Ms Susan Stewart to the Board of Mission. Appendix 4 of our report lays out the proposed changes to Presbytery's standing orders, and these will be laid on the table until the September meeting. However, we would like Presbytery to resolve today to approve under delegated powers the sale of ecclesiastical buildings, the sale of which is in accordance with the current Presbytery mission plan already agreed by the Presbytery. Any sale of such buildings would be intimated in the weekly newsletter. This decision is not a change to standing orders, but instead a change to the appendices of standing orders. And so, for it to pass today, it will require a 2/3 majority of those present. I have another additional item, and then I will ask Gail Lennon to speak before I finally finish my report. We do have an additional item to be added to the Business Committee deliverance at item for a new number 13, and it's not on the... So we want to express our dismay at the eviction notice from 123 George Street served to Hadil, and instruct the clerk to write to the Assembly trustees urging an extension of the lease and assistance in finding other premises at this time when Palestinian producers so badly need support. Across the church, there's been upset at the decision taken by the Assembly trustees to terminate the current lease agreement with Hadil. While recognising that there are financial reasons for doing so, the decision seems ill-judged and badly timed, as Daily News continues to report the effects of the Israeli government campaign in Gaza and the challenging life of Palestinians living on the West Bank. As a letter from the Presbytery clerk on our behalf is a small measure, It should also add another call to those of us beyond that role and ask us to offer our own compassion and justice. It should encourage others amongst us to speak out so that those who are being marginalised elsewhere in the world know that their presence is remembered and valued. And while this is moved on behalf of the Business Committee, it has actually been brought by Elizabeth Canfield, and I hope that later in the debate she will come forward and speak herself. Gail, would you like to say something about your change?
Thank you, Moderator. Gail Lennon, Presbytery Mission Plan Implementation Officer. I just want to speak to Deliverance 11, which approves the basis of union, which is Appendix 3 in the papers, of East Neuk Trinity, Largo and St Monans to become Fife Coastal Trinity Parish Church of Scotland, with the names following, to unite on the 1st of January 2026. When we come to approve the basis of union, I would draw your attention to Section 7 in the basis of union, entitled Minister. In the template used to draw up that basis, it was drawn up prior to the General Assembly and was circulated to the congregations for vote prior to the General Assembly. At the General Assembly, the Vacancy Procedure Act, Act 8, 2003, was repealed. That will therefore be replaced in this basis of union with the call, election and appointment of Ministers of Word and Sacrament Act, Act 11, 2025. It's a technicality and we do not intend to put it back to congregational vote because it is purely a technicality. So when we come to pass that deliverance, I would just like to point that part out to you. Thank you.
Thank you. That's okay. All other business is as reported in the Presbytery papers, and as in past meetings, should there be questions about nominations, vacancy procedures or Presbytery mission plan implementation, I hope you will allow me to call on the appropriate convener or staff member to give the appropriate reply. Moderator, I present the report and move the deliverance.
Thank you, convener. Thank you for your explanations and details. Nigel, a question?
Nigel Robb, the interim moderator of Crail Link with St Isle. Mine is not a question but a comment. I really want to thank the Business Committee for the publication of this report, in particular under page Roman number 2 regarding Presbytery planning implementation. To note the figures that are published there regarding the vote for union in Largo, East Neuk Trinity and St Monans. This reflects to me the transparency that was to be a theme of this presbytery in all the discussions to form the presbytery. It also says that knowledge is power, because it gives the power to the presbytery, which it always has had since the time of John Knox over such things. And also, I think it behoves us to thank the sessions there and the interim moderators for their hard work in achieving this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure we all agree. So does Presbytery receive the report? And so here we are noting under point 2 the induction service of Elani Sassenberg, the appointment of Lorraine Fraser, the appointment of Reverend Jim Reid, and that the Presbytery clerk, the Reverend Alex Shuttleworth, will act as interim moderator at Ochtertool. Do you note all of these? Then if we move on to number 3, the retirement of Reverend Stuart McPherson as interim moderator at Langtoon Central Church on Sunday the 20th of April, and as you've already heard, the peaceful death of the Reverend Robert Watt, formerly Dumbarton Riverside, on Tuesday the 13th of May. Noted. We come to item 4, resolving to add to regular presbytery business the formal thanking of ministers and deacons on their retirement from presbytery. There's a question on that or a comment? Yeah.
Thank you, Moderator.
Thanks,
Debbie Dobby and Cowdenbeath North Church. I'm really thankful to the Business Committee for this particular deliverance. My husband retired from this presbytery 2 years ago, and in the presbytery papers it simply said, out. Whilst he got a lovely send-off from the folk in Rosyth, the presbytery response felt both callous and disingenuous and actually quite hurtful after 25 years of ministry. So thank you that we are now to acknowledge the work of ministers and deacons who retire, and I hope that we will acknowledge this. Thank you.
Thank you. We heard the pain of that, and we've heard it for others too, and that's why we've changed it. So thank you for sharing. So item 5 is noting the proposed changes to standing orders as laid out in that Appendix 4 to the Presbytery papers of June 2025. Do you accept those? Then item 6, resolving that the Board of Management may, under delegated powers, approve the sale of ecclesiastical buildings, and you've heard the reasoning for that from the convener. Do you agree to that? We need to take that's the one for the account. This is the 75% one.
Yes, so we need actually to take a vote. I wonder if I could ask a couple of members to be tellers. The eye of Sauron has swept upon David. Do you mind telling that side of the hall? And can't see because of the light. Alan, that side. If you're going to stand up in a vote in favour, wait until the teller actually points to you and tells you to sit down again, and that way we know you've been counted. Okay? So the vote will take place, and people in favour should well.
Yeah. So if you're in favour, as in print here, would you please stand? Does anyone wish to vote against?
Thank goodness, because I can't do percentages. Clearly. You're a scientist. Clearly.
It clearly carries. Thank you. So then we move on to item 7, approving the staffing committee remit and the membership on Appendix 1. Is that agreed? Approves the nomination committee appointments to presbytery committees that we have on Appendix 2. Is that approved? Number 9, thanks Reverend Robert Calvert, who has stepped down as facilitator of Leadenmouth Cluster. Do we thank him? Warmly. Number 10, note the appointment of David Cameron to act as facilitator for Cowdenbeath Kelty area. Those are the kind of things we just tap our feet quickly. That's a good thing. Number 11, approving the basis of union Appendix 3 of East Neuk Trinity Largo and St Monas to become Fife Coastal Trinity Parish Church of Scotland. I'm not going to read out the in brackets. To unite on the 1st of January in line with what Gail has already shared. Do you accept? And then at 12, record our thanks to the Kirk Sessions who have completed the AEDR questionnaire and encourage others to complete and return. Thank you. And we have a new 13, which Elizabeth is going to speak to.
The moderator and members of Presbytery. Like many other people, I was extremely concerned to hear about the eviction notice from 123 George Street served on Hadeel. Leasing 123 George Street to Hadeel during these past 12 years has been a sign of the Church of Scotland's solidarity with the people of Palestine, and it has given a very central and convenient outlet for Palestinian producers, for example from Gaza and the West Bank. And many of us have been very glad that this has been the case. And now, whatever the financial considerations of the Kirk at this time, in the context of the truly desperate suffering of the people of Gaza and the huge impact of the war on the whole Palestinian community, with Palestinian producers so very badly needing support just now, it brings dismay, wide dismay, that Adil is to be evicted from 123 George Street. Surely in these particular, very distressing circumstances, if Adil cannot stay at 123 George Street, if that's not possible, at the very least, the lease should be extended until suitable alternative accommodation for the shop has been found. And it's very important that assistance should be given by the church to find alternate accommodation, hence my deliverance. So which you have in front of you, I think. So that's just a few thoughts on it.
Thank you for bringing it. Thank you for explaining. You can tell by the mood of Presbytery that we're all heartbroken because of the whole Palestinian situation. And so therefore, do Presbytery accept the new 13? Thank you, Elizabeth. Convener, thank you. We're going to move on in a moment to the Board of Management report, but before we do, I'll ask the clerk to speak.
Thank you very much, Moderator. I circulated this week, and it won't be normal practice, but it's particular to the accounts that we're looking at, that every time we put the accounts out and somebody's commented the accounts, we found more mistakes. So I wanted to try and get the mistakes back and on the, in the record, rather than have to sit and do a series of amendments that take up time in the business. The reason that we find mistakes is, by the way, usually because people phone us up and say that's wrong. And we say, well, thank you for telling us. Why didn't you tell us before? We are not mind readers in the Presbytery office. Well, I sometimes am. I'm sure that Evelyn is. But nonetheless, it really does help. Please try and keep us informed with changes that are going in place. Some of these are very simple. They're changes to title. Bill Sweeney is still missing off the list for some reason. And I think we should put him back on because he's been on the trustees for as long as the Presbytery's been in existence. Margaret Dow, as you know, is also not on the list. So those 14 items that you have on under section A are now part of the official report. So when you're receiving the report, and that's why I'm speaking now, before you receive the report, when you receive the report, you are receiving the report with those changes, with Bill Sweeney's name on, and all the other changes there. Just one small confusion, number 3, the elders missing from Fife Folkview were Colin Mackenzie and Barbara McKechnie. Margaret Miller's name, she wrote telling us, and somehow that's strayed in there as well. It shouldn't be there, so take off Margaret Miller. But that's the way this is. Now that you've received this correction, that's the report that you'll be receiving in a moment. Just wanted to make that quite clear. Okay? Thanks very much.
That saves an awful lot of time, Clerk. Thank you so much. So I call upon the convener now of the Board of Management, John.
Good afternoon, Moderator, members of Presbytery. John McMillan from Balmerino and Wormit, and the convener of this board. The report is as before you. If we deal with it in the sections it appears. On finance, we've set out what's been going on, and that's all just there formally for you to review. Any questions, please ask them. And then there is this question of approving the accounts, which was per section 4. If there are any questions on these, you're welcome to ask them. Sarah Wood is here somewhere and can help with any questions if there are any. And as the clerk has said, it's subject to those corrections. On property, again, it's really just a factual report of what's been going on, and it's just our plan had been a formal moving of that part of the report. However, you may have seen in the papers that were issued last week, there's an additional deliverance which is to do with the Hope Church project. This was already approved in principle Presbytery back in November when we were in Cooper St John's, and all that's being sought in that deliverance is to allow the Board of Management to deal with the final approvals rather than having to come back here. So we're requesting that licence. Next session is on safeguarding. We have a formal deliverance for that, but then 2 others. And if you'll forgive me, I just want to say a little bit about safeguarding. There is a new Safeguarding Act which was approved through the Assembly last month. I know that attitudes to safeguarding vary. Some people regard it as about as welcome as a parking ticket. Other people see it as much more important in terms of supporting those who are vulnerable in church and in church-related activities. Some of these are children, some of them are vulnerable adults. But I encourage you that it really is a vital role. And what has sponsored the recent activity was the thing I flagged at the November meeting. You may remember we were at the bottom of the week. At the top of the week, Justin Welby had to resign in the Church of England, really on account of a safeguarding issue. And I urge you to accept that this brought home to us how vital an issue safeguarding is. So the 2, well, I should say, sorry, before I go into these, there is going to be published on the Facebook page a 10-minute video by the convener to the General Assembly on the Safeguarding Act. And I urge you, if you can find 10 minutes, to look at it. Do we know, Alec, when it will be there?
As soon as Gail gets it done.
As soon as Gail gets it done, which Gail hasn't got it yet, but when she gets it, it'll be there. Hopefully in the next week or so. But please, if you can find 10 minutes, look at it. Our 2 deliverances on this are these. First of all, we're inviting you to endorse and approve the requirement for Presbytery members to maintain their own safeguarding training records. If we take the ministerial stroke deacon stroke reader group, there is in this presbytery, broadly speaking, about 65 people. On the list we have of who've completed the basic training, there are 25 people on that list who apparently, I stress the word apparently, have not done it. If you go to the advanced training, it's 29 of the 65 have apparently not done it. And they all should have progressed to leadership training when that's available. Now, I'm saying apparently because it may be they've done it and we just don't know they've done it. And the point of this deliverance is that Presbytery members must maintain their own records and furnish them to Presbytery. At the moment, I've got a foot in both camps. I'm also a locum in the Presbytery of Perth. What Perth is saying already is, show us you've done the training. And if you can't, you will need to do it again, even if you've done it already. They're being very strict about it. We're not quite there yet. We're going to try and clean up the records. And then the second thing, which is a bit more pointed, is this mandatory requirement for any safeguarding concern to be brought to the safeguarding service. And this stems from this new act through the General Assembly. Put another way, if you're a session member or a session clerk and you've got concerns about your minister, you must not talk to the minister, but you must talk to the safeguarding service. This is the level of scrutiny that is now being encouraged. What does mandatory mean? Well, you could substitute it for compulsory or obligatory. And then the final deliverance is just to do with the inspection of records. Again, it's formal. I myself participated in the St Andrews team this year, and I was very impressed with the degree of professionalism by all who presented records to us. So thank you for that. So subject to questions, moderator, I move our report with that additional deliverance.
Thank you so much. Thank you, John. So does Presbytery, first of all, receive the report? Are there questions or comments that you would like to make or ask on the report? Nigel.
Moderator Nigel Robb, the interim moderator of Crail Link with St Isle. Mr Macmillan has very cleverly and carefully highlighted the importance of safeguarding. I was at a meeting with the solicitor of the church on Tuesday, and she announced at that meeting that any trustee who has not completed the training appropriate to their role is not entitled to vote at any business of the kirk session or in a presbytery, and that will be enforced. So I think it's very important for the backing for our management committee to actually say that this is not actually an option for people to continue in their roles. This is actually the law of the church now and must be observed. Thank you.
I'm sure John's two words, mandatory and compulsory, apply here. Brian Porteous.
Moderator Brian Porteous, Interim Moderator St Morans, just to share with Presbytery an experience I had in the last 2 weeks about safeguarding. The 121 have been going through a data cleansing exercise, and they found that myself and probably 100 others had been excommunicated, expunged, or otherwise disappeared from the records. All that has meant is that I've had to go through the PVG process again. I've had a PVG as a workplace chaplain and as a minister for a long time. But just to share that with you, others might experience the same. I'm told it's 100 out of 10,000, so it's not a large number, but it is a problem that they have been experiencing at 121. I just want to share that with Presbytery. Thank you, Moderator.
Thank you. Let's hope that you're the only exclusive one then. Any other comments? Let's move then to the deliverances. Under finance, do you receive the finance report? Do you approve the Presbytery of Fife 2024 accounts? And under property, do you note the report? Thank you. Safeguarding, do you note the report? And do you endorse and approve the requirement for all Presbytery members to maintain their own safeguarding training records? Thank you. Do you endorse and approve the mandatory requirement for any safeguarding concern about any individual or group of individuals to be reported to the safeguarding service? Thank you. Then we move to the inspection of records. And do you note the report on that? Thank you.
Additional one.
The additional number 8. You can read it, I can't. Presbytery reaffirms its approval of the buildings plan for Hope Kirkcaldy and delegates powers to the Board of Presbytery, reaffirms its Board of Management, to act in the name of Presbytery in this matter, and on receipt of the final projections and tender package, to approve and submit these to the General Trustees, such delegated powers lasting from the 21st of June to the 31st of August. And we had the explanation as to why we are asked to do this. So do you accept this deliverance?
Moderator, can I say something else?
Of course.
As I think you know, this Presbytery came into being in 2021, and before that, Sarah Wood had been the treasurer of St Andrew's Presbytery. She was persuaded when we formed the new Presbytery to stay in this treasurer role, maybe for a few months until things settled in. But a bit after that, could you not just do maybe a 3-year term? And she said yes, so that brought her to June 2024. In June 24, we hadn't solved the treasurer problem. Could you do another year? And she said yes. I'm glad to say that we are almost there in solving the treasurer problem. Sarah's still got a little bit of handover to do, but there's a good chance by September she will no longer be the treasurer. Her work has been stellar on behalf of all of us. She brings a degree of realism, pragmatism, practicality to all financial matters. She's here today, but she's heading back to France on Tuesday, and I just wanted to say a huge thank you.
We wouldn't have survived in St Andrew's Presbytery it was without you coming on board. And you brought all those skills with you into this wonderful, bigger presbytery, and we still wouldn't have survived without your willingness and skills. But above all of that, Sarah brings a gentleness and a pragmatism which is just marvellous because it's called grace. Thank you. We move on then to the Board of Mission. Thanks, Alan. It's a good pace as far as I'm concerned.
Moderator Alan Morton, Minister of Leave and Link with St Kenneth's, Vice Convener Board of Mission, Convener Ministries Task Group, I think that's everything. Presbyters have the report in your hands. I don't intend, having the graveyard slot, to labour much on it, other than to highlight a few things that the convener, Pamela Scott, has asked me to mention in her absence. And I come to these simply as I noted them within my kind of amendments to the full report, just as I have it here. So, just to say that Presbytery now has a labyrinth, which was used for the first time at the Presbytery retreat on the 4th of June. It will be used initially by the Mission Director as part of the Year of Prayer events. It will also be available for individual congregations use. Anyone wishing to borrow it is asked please to make contact with Lorraine or the Mission Director in the first instance. Secondly, with Board of Mission and Ministries Task Group hat on behalf of those, I also want to offer our congratulations to those who were recognised this morning. I'm saying it, and I would have said it anyway if there had been more of them here at this point in the day, but so that it's there on the record, I'm saying it as well. I think, have you all gone? Is there any of you left that are actually candidates accepted? Morag is still here. She's not a candidate accepted, but I've known Morag for many years, so well done, Morag, as well. There's clearly not any vitally important rugby on at this present moment because you're here. So thank you for being here still, Morag. And it's a delight. Oh, and yeah, it's a delight that so many good things are happening in that direction. Can I just say one little additional thing under the study leave for the Reverend Dr. Jonathan Humphrey? Since the report was submitted for inclusion in the Presbytery papers, the board has just recently received notice that this has been approved by 121, so we're good to go with Jonathan's study leave. I think with the proviso that you have seen the report, that's all I want to say. So, Moderator, I present the report.
Thank you so much. Thanks for doing that. Presbytery, do you receive the report? Do you have any questions or comments on any part of it? If you don't, then there'll be somebody with a comment. Here we are. Do we note the, number 2, the study leave for Reverend Dr. Jonathan Humphrey? Do we note and pray for those, and I'll give you a caveat here, for those attending national assessment, but can I urge you also to pray for those who may be unsuccessful in this process, for all the reasons I've said earlier. So we receive 3. Number 4, congratulates those candidates from Fife Presbytery who have been accepted into training for the ministry. We've met them already: Mary Bain Lockhart, OLM, Susie Farrant, Taryn Milley and Jack Shuttleworth, and resolved to nominate them for this training, and instructs the clerk to send an extract minute to Val. Do you so instruct? Thank you. It's a great pleasure in these days to have all of these folks in training, isn't it? Number 5, note that Morag Ann Elder wishes to remain on Presbytery list of readers. Another bonus. Approve the addition at 6 to the remit of the Ecumenical Task Group to foster growing ecumenical conversation, to encourage strategic planning between denominations. We're delighted. And as we heard from young David, it's one of the things that he thought most inspiring at this year's General Assembly. Number 7, agree that those who receive Presbytery mission funding engage with the mission director to ensure the funding has been used appropriately. And at 8, note and pray for all the events that will take place throughout Fife Presbytery this year. Questions are always good. Come on. It's not a good height for you, that, Mike.
It's all right, I'll manage. Debbie Dobby, Beaton, County Beaton North Church. I know that there's a Presbytery prayer day on this coming week, but in the paper it didn't say any times or what's happening during the day. Can somebody please tell us?
Sorry, that Gail Lennon, Mission Plan Implementation Officer, that's because we didn't have the information when it went out, but it will go on Facebook along with the video. It's at St Ninian's, and I assume it will be at 10, but Alan will.
Hi Debbie, I believe it's certainly going to be at the St Ninian's building of Heart of Fife, which is on Tansall Road East in Glenrothes. I believe it's starting at 10 a.m. and it will run till 2 p.m. and I'll point out that Heart of Fife has a midweek service at 11:45 and then a free hot meal at 12:15. So if you are attending the Presbytery prayer thing in one part of the building, you can nip through to the other part and get your free lunch.
It's great. Amongst many other things, he has a crystal ball. We're going to move now and say thank you. I'll let you.
Can I do a PS, moderator?
Go on.
I looked out and spotted Martin there, who made his remarks this morning. Just with my MTG hat on, I'm perfectly happy to have conversations and try and get something going again, if that would be helpful to you. I know we spoke before, but yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you. So we move on to the clerk's report and deliverances.
Thank you, moderator. Alex Sutherworth, clerk, and mostly what I have to say is in the clerk's report. I'm happy to answer questions about it, of course, as we go on. Just a comment which I'd like to make, and it's with reference to the deliverance we passed about the Hadil shop. When the clerk writes, what the clerk does is send an extract minute, which does not always reflect the passion that is within the room. So just because the clerk's writing, don't feel you can't write as well. I write a letter which is basically an extract minute. I don't enlarge or put commentary on it. That's what I do. So please, if you ask the clerk to write a letter, make sure you realise that that's what you're asking him to do or her to do. Don't expect a fulsome barrage. Even looking at me, I don't do fulsome barrages. As far as the report is going, it is as in the print, but before, with your permission, moderator, before going to the details there, it's customary at this meeting of Presbytery to invite the convener of supervision to give a brief oral report on the activities of the superintendent's committee, and that being the case, with your permission, invite Bill Sweeney to the lectern.
Thank you, Bill. On you come. Thank you.
Moderator, clerk, Bill Sweeney, convener of the, what was it, the Superintendent's Committee. This is the annual report, but just to say for those new for Presbytery, it's all very confidential. We don't talk about any particular cases. That's national guidelines. We do get asked about particular cases, and the answer's always the same. We can't tell you anything. So I reported at last year's Presbytery meeting that we had 14 complaints, and I'm a bit pleased to report this time that we've only got 7, and I actually give thanks to the clerk actually for his diligence and assistance with this. You trying to read this, are you? Of these, in the last year we've had 7 complaints. So The year before we had 14. This year we've had 7 complaints. One complaint was upheld and the appropriate instruction was given to the respondent, so the person who was being complained about, the appropriate response was given to that, the instruction as to their future conduct. 5 complaints were resolved amicably and to the satisfaction of all sides, and 1 complaint we're currently still investigating, but due to the complexity of this complaint, 121 law and the principal clerk are involved, and we're taking note of their advice to ensure that we put that advice as part of the investigation. The committee continues to provide assistance to all congregations, and we do that constantly, but these are not in any of the figures, so people do come to us looking for advice, and we give advice freely. Moderator, Clark.
Thank you so much. We appreciate hearing that. It's an important role you play, sad but necessary, so thank you and all your committee. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. In the main body of the report, you'll see we're welcoming some new people into Presbytery. Some of these have indicated they wish to take a place in the court and some not. We'll have them sign the formula at the appropriate moment in the September meeting. The report sets out, we're calling it Preparedness for Presbytery Review because there is the Presbytery Review Act, but it is a more fundamental drill down into what we do, why we do it and how we do it. We've been promising to do this since before I was clerk. We now have a scheme which I hope will be kind of light in terms of the commitment that people have to make to it to make it work. It's over an 18-month period, but will also set us up for this more intensive review which will come from the national offices later on. We've got some determinations. These are technical matters that come from the General Trustees. Some agreements to sell properties. And that number 6, by the way, is a transfer of title from Ely. They're not selling the hall, but they're moving it from locally vested to General Trustee, but we have to agree that because it is in effect a change of ownership. And then we have the Battle of the Bulge, which has finally been resolved in Kirkcaldy, I'm pleased to say. So those are the deliverances, moderator, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. So do we receive the report? And are there any questions on any part of it? You've got that look that says, don't keep me any longer.
Mr. Conkey has got a question.
Moderator Hugh Conkey. It's just about the preparedness for Presbytery Review report. Have we got names for any of these personnel that will be appointed? Or who's going to, if not, what's the process for appointing them?
We haven't. The business committee has approved this I think in general terms. It seems to us that the overview should be somebody from outside the presbytery, rather than, we're not going to mark our own homework. But I note that you volunteered, Hugh. Thank you very much indeed, and I'm sure that we'll be getting back to you. But no, we don't have names, but we're trying to give an honest appraisal. And actually, the point's a well made one. I was thinking about this earlier on as well. One of the things we've had quite a lot of talk about how we first set up this presbytery and some of the process that went through, because people that were involved, like Nigel and Alan Kimmett, myself and Ian, one of the words that we used a lot was trust. Trust us to do it properly. Please trust us to do it properly.
So the trust is still there, but we want to look at what we're doing and why we're doing it, and to review what we're doing well, and to plug any gaps before the Central Church comes in and asks us various questions. This is the right time to do it. Thank you, Alan. Any other questions or comments? Then, having received the report, add to the roll of Presbytery W. Richard Houston, formerly Minister of Linlithgow St Ninians, Craig Mallion and Reverend Jenny Williams, formerly Minister of Edinburgh Dry Law, both from the Presbytery of Edinburgh and West Lothian. Thank you. Number 3, agreeing to the proposal set out in the report below on preparedness for the Presbytery review. Note the intimation of the determination of sale of the following properties: St Monan's Church, Heart of Fife Manses, Dunbog Glebe and Couris Abbey. And at 5, agreeing to the sale of the following properties, all Category B in the Presbytery Mission Plan. Firstly, Pittenweem Church Hall, Crossgates Church and Hall, and Cardenby Church. And Alec and I were speaking just very briefly at the point of the number of churches that we have in terms of those who we're inviting to partake in worship. The number of locations is already greatly reduced from where we were. Number 6, agrees the transfer of title of Ely from locally vested to being vested with the General Trustees of the Church of Scotland. And 7, at the request of both Kirk Sessions of Kirkcaldy Hope Church and Kirkcaldy Langtoon Central Charges, the parish boundary so that the part of Donaghcare Estate, which forms a detached part of the Langtoon parish, becomes part of Kirkcaldy Hope Church. And we say amen to that one. Thank you. Is that everything you wish to bring, Clark?
Yes, that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Correspondence?
Correspondence all dealt with or passed on to the appropriate parties.
That's always a good phrase for us to hear. Thank you. The date of the next Presbytery will meet for ordinary business on Saturday the 20th of September, but we are hoping to arrange a few events before that, and they will be intimated to you in due course so that you will hopefully be able to participate wherever those events are within Fife Presbytery. Thank you. We adjourn then until officially the 20th of September. Let's begin our going home by worshipping God once more, loving shepherd of thy sheep. May the light and love of the Almighty fill your life with truth and love and peace and strength, knowing that nothing can steal the presence of Christ from us. And now we shall sing a blessing to one another as I say thank you to Gordon for playing for us once more today. Can I ask you, centre down the middle, get the words into your head. We'll sing it once through and then turn and face the other side. And then, folks on this side, you'll sing the blessing to those on this side. And David knows I've pinched this from the General Assembly. And those on this side, we'll sing it to those on the other side, but together first of all. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and give you peace. Turn and face these folks. I'm smiling because we've got the Presbyterian disease that it's easier to give than to receive, so we want to sing all the time. Have a wonderful rest of the day and a good weekend. Thank you for being here.